Hi, and welcome to How Are We to Live? Here we are exploring just how we are to live in this mysterious existence and generally turbulent times. It is a space for unfiltered and open conversations with diverse humans on diverse topics, reminding us just how connected we truly are, no matter the differences. We uncover unique insights, life philosophies, and paths to fulfillment that inspires us to explore for ourselves what it means to be human and to exist at all. Help us discover our individual and collective potential, find personal freedom, purpose, and hopefully help create a more truly aware and connected world. Today we are joined by Felipe Sarria, a game designer, lecturer, author, and in his own words, an explorer at heart and adventurer in spirit, whose path has been one of ceaseless discovery. If you want to learn more about his upcoming book or get in contact with him, head over to his website, which is linked in the description, and all the information you will need will be there. Oh, I better make sure that it's working here too. Meow, meow, meow. Can you give us a meow into the...
Meow, meow, meow. I practice every day my meows. The state that I'm right now is that everything's flowing, everything's working out. I believe I have a purpose now. I have discovered that, which is amazing, feels great. I think there is like a before and after. You discover your purpose, right? And so, yeah, so I thought I'm gonna talk to Bella, and the idea is to inspire people, to encourage people, and along the way, talk about the process and get to know about your process as well. But keep it like uplifting, right? If I feel that we are going like in a low note, it's not because I feel uncomfortable, but it's because I want to keep it uplifting and inspiring and fun as well. And so
I actually wanted to ask about that because I wrote a few notes down from your form, and one of the first things I wanted to ask was uplifting and inspiring. Why is that important to you that we keep this conversation uplifting and inspiring?
Yeah, because look, I think we are all agents of change, right? And I want to be that person, the person that the world needs right now. And I think we are entering, I definitely think and feel that we are entering into a new sort of age in which I think it's about connecting our stories, right? I just met this guy coming in the Uber, right? And I told him my story. He was, what are you up to? I'm going to record a podcast with my friend. About what? About my book. Oh, you're writing a book? Yeah, blah, blah, blah. It's connecting stories. And that's what I want people to feel at the end of this conversation, that they have connected to my story, to your story, to the story that we are going to thread right now, and feel inspired to do their own thing as well. Look, I was thinking the other day, what if this story of my book stays in my mind, right? It just lives there, and I don't ever write it. I don't share it with the world.
What a terrible world that would be.
Exactly, exactly. So I think a lot of us have that intention and that sort of idea of doing something, creating something, but you never do it because you're afraid, because you don't want to leave the comfort zone, because you don't want to study or have discipline. And imagine the amount of great ideas this world have lost along the way because people just haven't been inspired. And that's it. And you don't need superhumans. I've been obviously reading a lot of books, and then I read about the lives of the authors, right? And they're just humans with stories, traumatic stories, some of them. Humans.
Yeah, I think that's what the culture is shifting into now a lot. Like back when my mum was a kid, celebrities, they were distant.
Yeah.
And you saw them in magazines and they were idolized. And I think while we still have celebrities and influencers and stuff, because we have a more of a personal look, we're realizing they're not some gods, they are just humans, and that we all have that potential. So like you're saying, we're going into a new age, and I do feel that as well. It's really exciting, isn't it?
It's pretty exciting. It is exciting. And I think once you start connecting with not only your inner self, right, and you start also attracting people in your path that will show you exactly that you were right. That's being or living in harmony and just being a good human. That's it. That's the secret. That is the secret, right?
Oh, but can I ask? So, being a good human.
Yeah.
Like, what do you feel like a good human? What does that mean for you? Because like people,
Oh.
when they have the Bible, they can refer back to that. If you're, because I'm not 100% on your like faith or beliefs, I have some idea, but yeah, if you could, I'd love to share.
The thing about religion is that I think religion, it's especially Western religions, are very, it's the interpretation of individuals, humans, about what is meant to be faith. Make sense? It's the interpretation of some humans, some other humans, of the teachings or what it is of these ancient sort of writings, right?
Yeah, they're getting like tainted by humans.
Exactly. And then there is a lot of misinterpretation, and and people, look, at the end, it's just, I think they're constructs. If you look at Eastern religions, like Buddhism, for example, it's all about you, right? And developing that inner self and the connectedness. I think it's that the word, right? Like the connection of everyone. But going back to the idea, religions, they have created this idea of what is good and what is bad. But at the end of the day, it's neither, right? It's the principle of dualism. And you're just there in the middle, and that's what you have to do. You have to learn to be in that present moment. Don't judge the moment. Either it's good or bad. It's just that, right? And I think once you realize that, you don't judge anyone. So I see people around me and I don't feel judgmental anymore. I think that's part of the human nature. You're in the street, you see someone passing by and you form an idea of who that person is just by the way they look or the way they talk or whatever it is. And it's not like that at all. So when you don't judge anymore, it's just humans. And everyone is amazing. And everyone is fantastic, right? And if you're open to, I tell Valeria, I think the key is to just love everyone, but not in the sense of romantic affair or love or romantic love. That's just for my wife, right? Something that I love about Buddhism is it teaches you about compassion. Feel compassion. That's it. And I think that's great. I think that's a great philosophy, or whatever you call it. Just, have compassion, and that's it.
Without going too into the darkness that is in the world, I do want to ask, because with the whole yin and yang dualism, I resonate with that a lot.
Yeah.
But how does that rectify? How do you personally rectify evils? Or like, I know we're saying there's no good, or the whole thing says no good and bad, but then when you think of things that do feel like really bad or evil, like wars or people that are like predators, how do you rectify that within you and carry that over?
You always. I have come to embrace that there can be light without darkness. It just can't. Yeah. That's part of the story of my book. Was born out of that concept, and you see it in the universe. You see it everywhere, right? The digital world is a 0 and a 1, right? You have to embrace it. It just is. Yeah. And it's perfect, the way it is, and it has to be the way it is. Look, I think something that always comes to my mind, and it's quite, I don't know, sometimes when I have that thought, it feels that I'm just going way ahead. So I'm sitting here and I say, oh, in a million years, none of this will exist. Like, these buildings won't be here. None of this. So it doesn't matter. Just have fun. Just have fun. It's so short. And there's darkness everywhere, but you have to embrace it, as I mentioned before. Yeah. And once you realize that, a huge weight of your shoulders, it's like life and death as well. You know that at the end you're going to die, right? It cycles, right? That's the universe, right?
So this makes me curious if you could share about your journey onto this path.
Like spiritual path, or like how I created the book, or a mix of both.
I'm thinking a mix of both. Like, okay. What's important to you? What comes to mind?
Look, it's been transformative. Writing this book, the person that is doing the third draft right now, because I just officially started the third draft. Woo! Yay! It's gonna be an interesting 2 months because at the end of November I have to deliver that third draft to the editor. Working with an editor, Emma. No, she's great. She's great. She has helped me a lot. She has taught me a lot about like writing the actual story, developing the story. Their feedback has been always amazing, very encouraging, very. So it feels like she's hand-holding me, which is it's been fantastic. And so yeah, down to the third draft. Yeah, I'm pretty excited about it because I think I finally found how I want to tell the story. But yeah, it's gonna be quite a ride again. So every time that I write the story, because this is gonna be the third time, you just go back into that world again, and it just feels great. Yeah.
Yeah, what gave you the courage or tenacity to write? Because a lot of people don't start their creative thing. Like you're saying, we all have that something
Yeah.
to urge to create something. And a lot of people don't start because they feel like, oh, I don't know exactly how it's going to look.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's a good example. Like you're on your third draft and it's completely different every time.
Yeah, but look, this journey, going back to the journey, so it started because I wanted to do something. So I just, look, I was talking to this guy back in the Uber.
What's the Uber's name? We need to know.
Yeah, he is, let me
like
see.
A main character.
Oh my God, he amazing guy. Let me see. He is Vex. Oh, he dance salsa. He is quite the dancer. He is from Serbia. I was like, what? Do you like salsa? He's yes. Okay, so anyways. Yeah, I was just talking to him about my journey, and we said something that is very interesting, and is I was sitting in an office and I was like, this is it? Like, I could do this for years and years and years. Yes, I could. And let's say financially it will pay the bills. Give me like a month, a year to go probably back to Colombia, visit my parents. That's life for the next, I don't know, 40 years, right? I could do that. Or I could just create something, right? And I said, create what? And that's when this whole thing started. And I said, look, I'm not gonna stop until I have done something. I don't know what it's gonna be, but something's gonna come up out of this. So the first thing that I did was, what can I sell? Because you start with that motivation, the money, right? Like I need something for money that gives me a lot of money. And there's an Instagram post that I saw a few weeks ago that says, if you do it for the money, no fun, right? But if you do it for your passion, it's fun, something like that. So people were going crazy for the NFTs.
Yeah.
Oh my God, that was such a stupid idea. No, I'm kidding. But I think the concept is good, but the execution is very poor, and there was a lot of speculation. But
Okay.
anyways, I wanted to sell NFTs, and then I presented this idea of the NFT collection to one of my friends that he's very into that, into crypto and that kind of things. And his friend says, bro, you have a great idea. Why don't you just write a book? And I'm like, I'm not gonna write a book. That's not what I want to do. I want to sell NFTs. That's what I wanted to do back then. But I just kept developing the story, and I just added to the universe and added to the universe and keep adding stuff and refining stuff. And it grew very big because it was like, okay, oh, we have some crystals. All right, so where those crystals come from? So I have to come up with all the lore about the crystals and everything in the story. And I was like, oh, okay, so there was this ancient civilization that I created with their own language and everything. So that's another story. I was going to do an NFT collection. So to launch that, I started a YouTube channel. I did 5 videos talking about NFTs and how I created the NFTs, right? And then out of that, I was like, oh, maybe I have to teach people how to create their own NFTs because I like teaching. So I was like, oh, maybe if I teach. So I recorded some videos, and that didn't work because I don't like teaching online. I don't like to be like teaching in front of a camera. I like teaching live teaching with my students, like face to face. I was like, okay, so I don't want to do this, but at least I tried. So I learned my lessons. I was like, oh, it wasn't just a what if. I did it, and I said, oh, I don't like this. And then what happened? So then I said, oh, I need to learn how to do marketing because I think that's where the money is, and I think I have to market my product. I bought a digital marketing course online, and I did that as well. And I was like, oh, I don't want to do this. I have to hire someone to do that for me, but I don't want to do it. I need to have social media, but I don't want to be the one that does the posts and everything. Then it was a stage that I said, okay, I'm going to tell the story of this universe by some medium. And I was like, okay, I want to do game cards, a card game, and I want to do a video game, like a mini game in this universe, and that will be like the intro in the web page, like a puzzle. I wanted to do a comic book, like a graphic novel, which I did. Then I wanted to do, what else? Oh, and the book. So on top of all, there was like this novel that I was like, I'm not gonna write a book. And then I was like, okay, I'm gonna write a book as well. And I started to do all these things at the same time. And it drove me crazy. I had to hire an assistant, right? So she will help me with like tasks and talk to people and like track progress of tasks and like a project manager. And I was like, oh my God, this is too much. I have to focus on just one thing. And I was like, okay, what's the thing that I like doing the most? Out of all of this, there should be something that I want to focus. And I decided that would be writing, because I've always been writing all my life. I like telling stories. I just have to refine and learn the process of writing a book, because I have never written one. That's been the journey so far. Yeah, a lot of big journey, a lot of lessons. But yeah, so going back to the original thought was, you have to start and you have to experiment, right? So it's amazing because you live in this world, right? And now it's very easy to connect with anyone. And you just have to find those people that resonate with what you're saying or what you want to showcase or your ideas. But you have to put yourself up there. And in order to do that, you have to leave fears behind and just do it. Find your inner self, your true self. That's it. Find your voice.
You saying leave your fears behind, it makes me think of, I have it written here somewhere, on your website. Okay, so is it Katumi? Is that how you
Katumi.
Katumi,
Yeah.
Okay. So Katumi faces foes that allow him to face his deepest fears. Like what you're saying there makes me connect that, and I wrote it down because I feel like it's really reflective of life, how when you go on this journey, I think it's a common thing that people think, oh, people that go on this are fearless, but no, the fears are there, they still come up. And I just wondering if you could elaborate on that.
When I was writing, there's been two big moments in this writing journey. And when I was writing this story at first, I was just narrating the story. There was this character in this universe and this is happening to him. And there's all these things happening around it. But there was no feeling, there was no connection. Like the story was being narrated, but it wasn't. But you weren't transported there. You didn't empathize with the character. It was shallow, let's call it like that. So it was only when I connected with this character and I said, okay, what would he be feeling? What is that he wants to say? Wants to express? What's the vision that he has about his universe? How is he going to judge the actions of others and his own actions? So only when I was able to connect with that character in that level, I realized that he was going to face a lot of situations that could be pretty traumatic. That obviously I haven't gone through in my life, but this character does, and they are very traumatic experiences. And also how he's, let's say, for example, his connection with his parents. So, because he has been prophesied, when he is born, he has the mark of the wind in his forehead. And basically, his parents knew immediately that he will have to leave at 12 to the temple. So the time with him was going to be limited. That concept only was going to forge the character of this main protagonist. And I had to connect with that. And I didn't live through that. Obviously, I have a fantastic relationship with my parents, obviously, with obviously some setbacks along the way. But I had to connect with that. And how do you do that? You have to connect in a deeper level. And yeah, and it's been part of the spiritual process as well, or journey, because I had to, once I connected with this character and felt all these things and brought a lot of trauma back, because some of these situations will be things that I have gone through and I have to go through that again. And that was a great opportunity to heal all these wounds from the past, right? The fact that along the way, Valeria, her support has been fantastic, and her love has been part of this as well. it wouldn't be possible without her at all. This story wouldn't be happening, most probably.
I'm just wondering if you want to elaborate a bit more on that support, or just Valeria in general, because she's been such a strong part of your journey in this universe.
Yes, I always tell her that she could have said at some point, stop wasting your money. It's not going to happen. Let's just buy a car, or let's go to, I don't know, to Europe, right? And that would be fair as well. But she has always supported me. I always encouraged me. She has given me wisdom. Like when she said at some point, just focus on one thing. That was like, okay, yes, you're absolutely right. And that's what I'm going to do. And when that happened, that's when everything started to flow more organically. So yeah, it's her words, the support. She has given me ideas as well. She advised. And for example, I was working or trying to come up with this big project, and I didn't know what was it at the time. So I started to pay consultancy, and the results weren't what I wanted. And she was like, oh, don't work with these guys anymore. But I didn't listen to her. And then at the end, I was like, yeah, you're right. Yeah, I listen to her late sometimes, but I listen to her. That's something that I learned as well. You listen to your women. You guys know better. Honestly, yeah, we're just like guys. I think men, we execute things sometimes without like really thinking. And I think women are more, you analyze all the different variables. Oh, I know what's a good business model. And she was like, what's a good business model? And I'm like, I can do this and this. And she's like, no, because that will mean for you that this and that. And I will be, oh yeah, you're right. You're so wise.
Thanks for sharing about connection. It's very beautiful that you guys have that.
It is, yeah. It's been fantastic. Yeah, since day one.
Okay, and then something else that I just randomly thought of because of it's all gone now, but the beautiful blue potion.
Blue potion.
To try.
Yeah.
Meditation is also something that's been a big part of your journey.
Yes.
So I was wondering if you could elaborate a bit on that.
Yeah. So my cousin, he has always meditated since he was very young. And I was like, why do you do that? What's the point? He's, oh, you don't understand. We're the same age, but he's always been very like an old soul. Yeah. Like they know stuff. And he was like, yeah, you have no idea. But one day you will discover the power of it. And I was like, okay, you just say so, nerd. And then the whole spiritual journey, it was all synchronicities that sort of put me on that path. And because I started to read about alchemy. That was the context of this whole story, right? So I started to read about alchemy, and then all this symbology and astrology, and one thing led to another, and numerology, and then it was like constellations and stars. All of that sort of created or awakened in me just this knowledge, and then I wanted to understand what was going on. And
in existence in general?
Yeah, exactly. So at some point, it was like, this is something that I found out. I follow Robert Grant.
Oh, yeah.
He's great. And so he talks about like how you are the universe experiencing itself. And I resonated a lot with that concept. And so when I understood that, I was like, okay, so everything that I'm experiencing is something that I have created. I'm creating right now. And I was like, okay, so how do I handle with that? Like once you discover that, oh, you can create anything. There's been reports of people that can just create things out of thin air, right? Back in ancient wisdom, people could do that, right? That's where magic comes from. Magic is real. The world right now, everything is magical.
Yeah, even if sometimes when you say magic, people will be like, oh, it's silly, it's fantasy.
Yeah.
But if you really look at everything or really go into anything, this is what I've been finding. Everything, even when I'm eating food, I have a plate of food, I'm like, it's truly magical that this has just gotten here. I just went to a shop and just, things are magic.
Exactly. Once you realize all the magic in the world that collectively all of us have created and keep creating every day. Like the other day I was meditating and there was this huge plane passed above my house at that moment in time. And I felt that tremendous like wave of energy just passing by. And I was like, we're all creating that. Like we collectively, we know that plane is going to land safe and the people are going to land safe and be happy with their families. Obviously, there's darkness every time in everywhere, right? But it's, as we said before, it's part of it. You have to embrace it. You cannot change nature. Life and death, the eternal circles of death and rebirth. You can't do anything about that, right? Just entropy. It's how the universe works. It's in a spiral. And you create that. We all create that. And once you realize that, so that's what the point, you're like, okay, what do I do with that? And what do you do? How do you handle that? How do you handle yourself? How do you handle with other people? And then you understand, okay, this other person has this own version of the universe and their perception about life and the world, they create their own universe. And it's such a crazy concept. No, it's not crazy, but it's such an interesting concept.
I often wonder how we get anything done at all, because we all all have such completely unique upbringing. Like how? But it's magic.
It's magic.
No need
Exactly. It's magic. It's magic. That was the point where I said, okay, I need to do something. I did some research and I think, okay, what if I meditate? Let's give it a shot. And I did, and I said, okay, I relaxed. At least I got that. So I got into a routine and was like, okay, I'm gonna wake up every morning, meditate first thing in the morning, and then go running, and then come back and read, and okay, whatever. And I got into this routine, and at some point I was starting to just feel very good, right? So when I did the therapy, right, the therapist, Kat, she's fantastic as well, asked me once why I was meditating, why did I like it? And I said, because that's the moment when you basically stop in time and you connect yourself and the universe, and it just feels very good. It's like being able to acknowledge that this is the reality that we create, but it's not, at the end of the day, it's not real, if that makes sense.
More than.
Exactly, that what is real is your core. Connecting with that's fantastic. Once you connect with that, so you start to figure out a lot of stuff. That opens, it's leashing like a dam. Then you can heal a lot of stuff from the past. You find your guardian angel, and you heal your body as well. And then you make a cat appear. I made Orion appear.
Can you tell us?
Yes, that's a great story. So my wife, we had Zelda, right?
And she was a sort of a manifestation as well, wasn't she?
Yes, yeah. But this one is next level. Because with Zelda, like with my wife, we will be like, oh, we will be watching TV. We will be like, oh, can you imagine having our cat Zelda here with us? Or we were just passing by the aisle in the supermarket where all the pet food is, and we were like, oh, imagine when we were buying something for Zelda. She had a name as well. Anyways, but in this case, what happened with Orion was crazy, out of this world, or I don't know how you will describe it. It's a great synchronicity, I think. It's a great manifestation. And let's see. So my wife was like, I want another cat. And I was like, maybe next year. I was like, maybe next year, because we wanted to go to Colombia this year. One day I was sleeping, right, and I had this dream about this cat. This cat, it was black face and also white coat, the hair very fluffy, very like all over the place, right?
You've got evidence on you right now.
Yeah, exactly. I cannot get rid of this, even if I pass the roller thing.
For life. It's a part of you now.
Yeah, but you know what? At the end of the day, I'm like, this is a constant reminder of that. Fluffy balls that live with you, or that you live with them. I don't know. So yes, he was very fluffy and everything, and he had this funny face. So I had this dream about this cat, and then the next morning I told Valeria I had this dream, and I described the cat to her, and she's, oh, we want another cat. That's a sign from the universe. And I was like, not yet. It's gonna happen, but not yet. And she was like, okay, cool. Anyways, that was a Wednesday, and on Friday I was teaching my class. And I got this message from the breeder that we got Zelda from. And she's like, hello, everyone. This is the latest kitten. So if you're interested or know anyone, just feel free to share. And I opened those photos, and the first kitten that I see, because I was in class, I didn't pay too much attention to his. It was, oh, so cute. Anyways, kept going with my life. So I told Valeria, and she's like, oh, they're so cute. Let's have one. Let's get one. It could be. What if they are siblings of Zelda? Can you imagine? And I was like, yeah, that could happen, but not yet, not yet, not yet. And the next day, which was a Saturday, I was meditating. So when you meditate, you open the door to remember dreams or see things from your dreams, or that kind of things. And I was meditating, and I see that this cat again from my dreams. I would just comes back again. I have that sort of image in my head, like very well defined. I could see it vivid, like a vivid memory of it. And I came back from the trance like immediately, and I was like, wait a minute. And I see the cat, the first one. And it was exactly like the cat from my dreams. And I freaked out, and I texted the lady, hello, how are you? The kitten, so cute. Tell me can you tell me the day they were born? And she tells me 11th of March. And that's the date Valeria and I got engaged. And I said, okay, how much is the first one? That's it. That's how Orion came to our lives. I manifested it in a dream.
This is like a tangent, but I'm curious because last time Zelda was a big part of what you're talking about as well. What do the cats mean for you? They seem to be a very prominent part of your like spiritual connection.
Yeah, so I don't know. I think cats have been very important in my previous lives. Very important, or in the multiverse, or in my own multiverse. I think they're very important, right? And they have been part of a lot of stories, and they have been companions and advisors and inspiration. Like I came up with the final concept. By the way, look at this. I came up with the final concept art, or the way they were going to look like, the characters of my book, inspired by Zelda. I experimented with a lot of different feel and descriptions and how I wanted them to be. I went through different iterations.
Yeah, I was actually looking at the photos of all the characters before, and they're so cool. I love them so much.
Oh yeah.
I'll put it on the thing so everyone can see it as well. That's so exciting when seeing it all come together.
And I think definitely there is a connection with cats in my life. I have developed this understanding for them, right? Like cats have been depicted in a lot of ancient cultures, like these mystical beings, and they are symbols of good fortune in some parts of the world. And I really think it's because I think cats look for you, if that makes sense. You don't adopt the cat or get the cat adopts you. So I tell Orion all the time, you basically appear in my dreams. You were able to do that, right? So I could get you.
Yeah, you didn't manifest him, he manifested
Exactly, exactly. I like to put it that way. I'm just eager to know more about them. I love them.
Yes, it's very clear. So you were saying the cats choose you, which makes me think of something from one of your blogs.
Yeah.
Where it was like, sometimes books find you.
Yeah.
And another thing I resonate with. And one of the books, what was the name of the book about the right brain art?
Oh yeah, it's drawing with the right side of the brain.
Okay.
Yeah.
You said something that was really cool, and I wanted to hear more about when you right side brain drawing, and then you said something that you later came to label as learning to unsee.
Yeah.
And I think that it's not just specific to drawing, so I'm wondering if you could go into that.
So the thing is that we humans are very distracted, and nowadays more than ever, and we, how do you put it? Like you're not aware. We don't have that awareness about the world anymore. Because let's say that you come to this park to meet me, and you sit here waiting for me, and I'm 5 minutes late, and instead of just appreciating the beauty of this place, I'm not saying that you, but in general, people would just get their phones and just scroll endlessly and they miss out. In these moments, so awareness allows you to, for example, a tree, right? It's a tree. No, it's not a tree. It's a miracle. It's imagine like each layer of the trunk of that tree over years and years, and each leaf and the processes that is happening right now in that tree, all the little insects and birds. It's not a tree anymore. It's an ecosystem. It's a world. It's a universe. Imagine all the stories that you could just craft in a tree that happens. In this universe, for example, that I'm creating or I'm writing, there's this culture that they live in a big tree. You could say, oh, that's from Avatar. Yes. Stories are universal, and I could take inspirations of things that I have seen. But the things that happen there are, lets you discover that there is an entire culture and entire story happening in there, in that soul ecosystem. But in order to get to that point, you have to learn to unsee. To think, imagine, for example, in here, the story of this. There is a story in here, immigrants from Italy. I love that lining there. We came for a while, but stayed for a life. That's fantastic. And that's happened to me. I came for 6 months, and here I am 5 years later. And I'm not going anywhere. And I have come to love this country. It feels like home. Finally, I found a place in the world that I'm happy, that I can develop myself to the fullest. And for that, I'm very grateful to Australia and to everyone that lives here. That's why, for example, the whole acknowledgement of country and everything that happens with First Nation people, I like that. I resonate with that because it makes a lot of sense. They welcome you to the country. I think that's just great. Yeah.
So something you mentioned was, I know you teach, but you did a talk recently, well, not recently, but since we last saw you.
It was very good. It was very good. You know, look, the thing about the books that find you, I was invited to this event to talk about my project and the process, the creative process. And then the first talk was from a brilliant mind, right? It's a professor, and he has written a book. He was launching a book called, it's something like, oh, I forgot. Well, it was something with algorithms. I don't remember exactly the name of the book. They gave me that book for free. And I was, okay, I'm going to read it. And I learned so much. Learn a lot about logic and how things work in the world based on algorithms, basically, nowadays. Think about it. Everything that you see in social media has been crafted for you, because you don't see your friends' things anymore. Everything that you see right now or nowadays is just being crafted for you, right? Based on years and years of algorithms. They run the world. So books find you, yeah, to teach you a lesson, to teach you something, definitely, always, all the time. I was in Bali. I went to this bookstore, got this book, and I was like, oh, I want this book or this one. No, okay, no. I'm just gonna write, because Valeria, don't buy more books. You don't know. You don't have where to put them. And I was like, oh, but just one more. And she's okay, just one book. So I paid for this book. I was going out of the store, and there was a book in the floor. I had to buy it. And Valeria was like, no. I said, we just one. I had to buy it. It was in the floor. It was waiting for me. Great book. It's called Inner Engineering by Sadhguru.
Oh my goodness, he just keeps coming up, yeah.
Great read. Yeah, and what do you mean by he keeps coming up?
Oh, like for me personally,
Yeah.
people with The Alchemist last time, you brought him up and then the book up, and then the book just kept showing up, and so many people have just been bringing up Sadhguru up to me.
Definitely.
It's sort of in alignment with the books finding you. It's not just books, it's everything. Literally everything. You just have to be, like you're saying before, you have to be open to it, learn to unsee. You have to just be here to notice it.
Exactly. And there's so many signs of it. So if you just take your moment to breathe and see and just embrace the moment, be present. There's a lot of things that the universe just shows you for free, and it's just wisdom for free. And my cats, because we moved to a house and now we have this front yard, and every day we take them to the front yard. They're very cute. I have this bench, I sit there and I just watch them. 30 minutes. Sometimes I read a book, but I watch them, right? Be cats. And it's just fantastic. Have that pause in your day. It just feels meditative because, for example, Orion, when there is a breeze, he just does like this. So cute. And Zelda is trying to catch little lizards. So you just watch them, and it's fantastic because, you think about it, and they, these creatures, these beings, they perceive the universe. For example, they don't have the concept of time. And only thinking about that, it's so interesting. And they love you unconditionally. They teach you so much. And yeah, I went off the tracks a little bit.
No, there's no right way to create. So what I wanted to, you've brought it up a few times, basically connecting to your inner self.
Yeah.
Or I don't know if it's exactly how you word it, but you know what I mean.
Yeah.
And I'm just wondering, I guess we probably have sort of an idea, but if you could go more into that and how you connected to your inner self, especially because you were saying how even since the last time I spoke to you, you've found more
Yeah.
of yourself and being able to develop your story and your voice.
In the whole process, I came to realize that you just have to enjoy being alive. I think that would be the best way to describe it. Like just enjoy the ride, just enjoy being alive. If in this moment it will rain, yeah, we will get wet, but so what? That's amazing. There's just the fact that that rains in this world is amazing. That just keeps everything alive. And but someone could say, oh no, I got all wet. Just enjoy being alive. There's no reason to get upset about anything. Why would you? Any problem that you could have in this world is meaningless. In the grand scheme of the universe, and it's meaningless. It's pointless to get stressed about anything. You just need to, and then you find that you can be certain. For example, and we would talk slightly about it last time, but I just don't think about money anymore. It's obviously money is energy that flows, right? And if you need money to flow in a certain state, it will come. It will come. You will meet with people that will help you along the way as well. But you gotta be open to that as well. You could have told me, "Oh, let's have a chat," and we're like, "No, I don't want to have a chat," and I will be closing myself to this opportunity, and to be in a fantastic afternoon in this beautiful park, being able to share my story. So it's that, in connecting with people, being open to connect. We are all connected. We are all here to be compassionate towards each other, to help each other, to teach each other. That's why I love teaching. You see my students, they graduate, they get hired by these companies, they get their lives in here, they bring their family, right? They get married, and life-changing. And you're part of that process. And they go and design the houses that people are going to live right there. I think we talked about that last time. And all the stories that are going to happen in each one of those. We said before, like just the fact that you have food on your table is fantastic. And that's why I meditate every morning. Meditation is about just being grateful of of being there, breathing. Just the fact that you're breathing, that's it. And then you understand that what you breathe is this energy, I don't know, like in my book, I will describe it like ether. And that's what powers everything, makes everything, work in this 3D reality, or shapes it, right? Yeah.
A big part of the story is alchemy. Like it has to do with alchemy. I'm wondering what you can share on that.
Yeah, so when I started to read about alchemy, I discovered that there were some stages, right? And those stages are not literal stages in a way that you melt the metals, and then they go to, for example, putrefaction, or these states of alchemy. So when I started reading about that, at some point I understood that it was the stages of inner self, or of that alchemy is within. And that came also that realization also came from the Kybalion. Have you finished it?
No, I'm doing what you said, just taking it slow.
Taking it slow, yeah, take it slow. I don't know. I think there's no right or wrong to read it or get the meaning of it. Will come. Anyways, I was going through the Kybalion at the moment, and it has to be with the realization of that we are creating this universe. Once you realize that, everything changes. Everything changes, and meditation, that's key. It's been key, part of the process. And also part of this process has been trying to understand through different sort of mediums, and at the end of the day, you understand that everything's connected. The other day, you posted something, I don't know if you were there. I was going to text you, like a moon activation in Redcliffe. Yeah, like a month ago, where was this big moon. I told Valeria, do you want to go to this? And she said, yes. And my friend Sebastian came with us as well.
Maybe.
And we went there, and it was so cool. The vibrations, the moon, and the planets, the stars, everything is connected, everything. And then you go through sacred geometry as well.
Gone much into sacred geometry?
A little bit.
Yeah, because I've just started going into it.
Yeah.
It's like there's so much. So.
It's so much, right? That's a whole thing, yeah. That guy, Robert Grant, he is very good. He has this show on Gaia called Code X. Very good, very good. He actually says that we should all that draw sacred geometry. Yeah. And
You did that?
I want to start.
Yeah.
Yeah, I want to start.
Can't do everything.
Yeah, no, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. This year I'm focusing this in on just finishing the book. But I think once I finish, I'm going to experiment with a lot of stuff. I want to do geometry. I want to travel a little bit. Yeah, I want to go back to Japan. Because I think something else that is very interesting is, so the universe has given me the opportunity to tell this story. And I think we talked about it the other day, that you get this story from, it just comes to you. And the whole process of acknowledging that story, and being the medium to tell that story, but you have to be open to that. That's something that also I realized I have to tell this story. But it's this mission to accomplish. It's because, as I mentioned before, yeah, it's a grand adventure. It has these awesome characters, all these creatures, very geeky, very fantasy, it's fun, it's exciting. There's confrontations, there's the crystals and creatures and fights. And yeah, it's fun, but there is an underlying set of messages, like subtext that I wanted to. So there is environmentalism, it's justice, it's poverty, because I have seen that. Here in Australia, you don't see it that often, or it's not that. But in Colombia, for example, you are in the traffic lights, and there will be kids wiping the windscreen for cents of dollars. And that's part of it. And forced displacement of communities. Not only that, but also the main character goes through his own sort of a spiritual journey as well. So it's how he realizes he has an internal struggle of using that power, because it could be very destructive. And that is tied to anger and all these low emotions. And so it's learning. So his own journey, he learns how to realize, or how to came to terms with his own sort of demons. That's why the whole going back to that original thing. Yeah, that's when I meant by facing his internal fears or his inner demons.
You have created this universe.
Yeah.
In the book and in your own life.
Yep.
So something else was on your website, how to create your own universe.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's the lecture you did or talk you did, but yeah, I was just wondering if you have maybe some like practical tips for people on how they can start to create their universe.
This is something, it's an interesting question. I've been creating this universe for 3 years. And ever since I started, or when I discovered that this is what I like to do the most, it's my purpose, it's what I want to do. I want to tell this story and everything that comes with it. So once I got to that point, I was like, I want to teach or inspire others to do the same, because I reckon there's a lot of people out there that have these universes created in their minds, and they don't know where to start or how to start. And so my advice would be, look, if you like writing, just try painting, or record yourself with a camera telling yourself that story. I remember that I did some small trailers of the story with some like AI images and everything. And I will show them to my friends and Valeria, obviously, and they will be like, oh, that story is very cool. But you have to start. You have to show up. And probably the biggest advice would be discipline. Just show up. At least if you're, like, for example, you're writing, I use this tool called Scrivener, right? It lets you track the quantity of words that you write every day. There were days of 100 words. But I was constant. 100 words, 300, 250, 1,000, 500, 2,000, but I kept going. And there were some days that I was just stuck, but I knew that I was going to be unstuck at some point, right? The thing about being stuck is that you basically become an end, like a living dead. You're living automatic, but you're just thinking and thinking, what if I do this? What if I do that? What if I change this? What if I do this or this or that or this? And you start writing and it doesn't feel good, and then you just go back. You're thinking about it. Every moment of the day, you're still creating. You're creating it in your head. And once you sit down and oh, that's a good idea. Let's go with that one. but you just keep going. The same will go with the experimental phase. So you experiment with something, try to experiment fast, so you learn fast. I teach prototyping to my students, so that's one of the first things that I teach them. Look, you have to experiment fast, so you can learn fast. What worked, what didn't work, and then you do another iteration. In my case, I did a YouTube channel, all these things that I told you before, but the common factor was the story, writing the story, creating the universe. And that's what I did, right? And it became a book, and who knows what that story could become. Could become a video game, because I have written that story as if I was playing a video game, like an RPG, like a Final Fantasy. So there's progression. So the character starts with minimum abilities. He doesn't know how to use this power. He has it, but he doesn't know how to. So he has to learn along the way, fighting creatures, and yeah, it feels like you're playing a game as well. Yeah, who knows what it's going to become. For me, the greatest or a success factor would be that people get the message. People say, okay, yeah, I got it. There's a lot of things of my spiritual journey that are reflected in Katumi's journey. So everything that we have talked today, some of those things are in that book, in that story, because that character also has to go through that transformation. And that became clear to me at some point, because I left home very young as well. So at 16, I went to study uni, and now I'm here in Australia, but I have always been lived away. So then I understand that connection, right? And then I could connect even more with the character, say, okay. And he goes to the world, and he wants to discover what's out there and the mysteries of the world. Yeah, that's why it brought me to Australia.
So you said a big thing is you want, like, a success would be people understanding the message.
Yeah.
And I'm wondering, in your own words and your own perception, what is the message?
Oh, the message it's about, like, we have been given this power, it's magical. You can create anything. You can be whoever you want. You have been given that power, but we are afraid of using that power. And we have indoctrinated not to think or not to realize or embrace that power.
Even though that we have it. Yeah.
Exactly. Even though that it's ours to bear, to use, we have been indoctrinated not to. Part of the process, part of cycles as well, okay? But once you realize that you are free, that you're completely free, once you realize that, I think you become responsible, accountable for your own reality. And then you realize that you can create anything.
It encapsulates a lot of what we talked about today.
And probably something else that I would add, it's you have to face your fears in order to embrace that power. Otherwise, you can't. You have to embrace the darkness within as well, because with that power you can create a lot of. That power could be either for light or for darkness. Because if you think about it, for example, in that darkness, it doesn't even come in the form of literal darkness. It's what you do to others, what you create in your own worlds. And you have to embrace that as well, that you have done that you have created darkness, or you have brought darkness to other people. But it's in your past, and you have to come with terms with that. And that's something that we discussed previously as well. You also have to embrace the darkness from your ancestors and what happened with them, and forgive them and forgive yourself. That's the message. Look, it's about facing your fears. For example, Katumi has been prophesied to be the savior, the grand hero of the world. But something that I'm not going to spoil to you happens along the way, and he lost that spark, right? He doesn't believe that he is that grand savior anymore. And he has to recover that. And when he recovers that, it's when he realizes that, okay, I can save this world. I can save it. And it's facing those demons as well, facing those inner states or traumas from the past, being able to acknowledge them and see the bigger picture, that without each one of those situations, each one of those traumas, you wouldn't be where you are right now. It's part of the process. It's part of what you came to this life to learn. which is fantastic, because if you had those traumas and you overcame them, it means that, yay, you transcended, at least in that part. You learned your lesson that you came to learn in this life. Because at the end of the day, you pick those lessons before you come. And going back to compassion, that's when you see, for example, all those stories of those kids that they grow up in they have this very difficult childhood. And you, instead of saying, oh, poor kid, you say, yeah, I feel about that kid, but he has to go through that in this life. And I hope that at some point in his life, he is able to realize that and heal that. Not only for himself, but for his ancestors as well, because that's karma that comes from past lives as well. I did that process, and and it's been liberating. Yeah, another weight off the shoulders.
And it's not that there isn't still hard times, like in your personal life. It's just that you can be with them now, and like you can see them for what they are. Yeah. A lady that I work for, she like talks about how she gets excited when she's really down now, because she knows that like alchemy, it's going to transmute into something cool if you do that. Yeah.
Exactly. That's alchemy at the end of the day. So it's transmutating those traumas, those moments, transmutating those feelings, those low emotions into the opposite, right? But so instead of anger, you feel joy now because you were able to overcome that. It makes you the person that you are now, that you're able to acknowledge and be in peace with that. And say, okay, that was for my greater good, because look where I am right now. Okay, it's been hard. And that's everyone around us. It's in that same situation. So the only difference is that some people are able to acknowledge them, peace, and some people don't. And you could only imagine the world if everyone would be able to do that process. That's it. We wouldn't be killing each other.
What I really want to touch on before we wrap up, because I've underlined it and it really stood out to me when you said it, was how when you said you feel like you've really come into your purpose now. Yeah. And it was like a life before and a life after.
Yeah. Look, it's your purpose. It's such a big, how do you know? If I always do this comparison, if you are employed, your boss gives you your purpose, right? Oh, you have to do this task and this task. And you're, okay, cool. So that's your purpose, but it has been chosen by someone else. Whereas like the boss, imagine the owner of the company, so he is the one that sort of, defines sort of his own purpose. So I'm going to take my company to $1 million, or I just want to give all the earnings in charity or whatever. But how do you find that purpose, right? How do you find what do you want to do? So I think it's, once again, you have to experiment. You have to, once again, put yourself out there, show up, be creative. There's not a secret recipe. I think it's just a matter of having discipline. I think it would be like connecting with your inner kid. When I was a kid, at least I was very creative, and I will be like, drawing like racetracks, and I will play with my toy cars in the racetracks. I will be, doing a lot of things, creating stories with my toys and everything. And I think it's connecting with that inner kid, inner self. And it's, okay, what do you want to do? What is that like moves you? Like in my case, it's telling that story. And I just wanted to create a universe and create a map and create a character and create characters and create worlds where all these characters live in, all these creatures, and with all these symbiotic relationships, and a world to be alive. And there was conflict in the world because nothing's static. So if you think about it, our world is always something happening. There's conflict somewhere, there's peace in other parts of the world, and there is the moon is changing all the time, where the seasons are changing. So there's change ultimately.
Nowadays it's very popular, follow your purpose, find your purpose.
Yeah.
But that can feel so overwhelming to people. I don't know what my purpose is, how can I follow it? And I think a big takeaway, at least for me, from your story and journey is that you don't have to know, you just got to try and start.
Start somewhere, do something. Like Valeria tells me, like, okay, so tell me what to do. And I'm like, I'm not going to tell you. You have to discover it by yourself. Like, what do you like? And for example, I liked the Zelda and Star Wars and Final Fantasy, and that's what I use as inspiration for my book. I'm not writing romance. It's because that's what I like, right? I think that's key, finding something that you like, that you enjoy, that you will do for free. And start, do something about it, blog, I don't know, draw, paint, sculpt. For example, my sister, She did a lot of, like, she did a lot of handicraft with a lot of materials, with wood, with vinyl, with which she painted with, she did with ceramics, with a lot. She tried a lot of different art manifestations, and then she ended up with paintings. She paints. That's what she enjoys the most. And that's great because she found her purpose as well. And the same goes, and in my case, it's writing the story, but but no, it's basically telling this story. I think, yeah, it will be very sad if this story is not told. And it's not because I'm writing it. It's because I think it's fun. I'm writing right now, books find you. I went one day to work with a Star Wars shirt. It has this big logo, like the old school one. And one of my coworkers said, "Oh, man, I'm gonna be looking at your T-shirt all day." And I was like, "Why? What's that?" "Oh, because that's the old logo. That's the cool one." And I was like, "Oh, okay, cool. Oh, you like Star Wars, obviously." He said, "Yeah." And, "Oh, have you read the book about how they created the first movie?" And I said, "No, I haven't." I was like, "I'm gonna give it to you." He gives that book to me, and I start reading it. So George Lucas, he wrote 4 drafts before coming up with what we saw, like what we know how Star Wars is. And I think it came at the right time because I was like, okay, so I have to write a 3rd draft now. I thought, okay, first draft, then the refinement of this, so the 1.5, and then the 2nd draft, and that's it. We're done. She's just gonna fix grammar and move some things here and there. And then she's like, no. There's work. I mean, it's fantastic. The story is great. Characters are fantastic, awesome, but we need work to do. But I was reading that, and so I was like, okay, if George Lucas did it, I'm gonna do it as well. And I'm very excited to start writing the 3rd draft. I think it's gonna be a lot of fun now.
And just on the thing with your sister,
yeah,
how she just tried, especially like, speaking from my experience, like I put a lot of pressure on myself, so I want to find my purpose. Like I want to be living in my purpose. I don't want to be working in a job and someone telling me and then that kind of sort of made me stagnant. I don't know what to do. But I really like what your sister did because I'm 19 and I was like 16 when I was thinking about this stuff. Of course, I don't know. Like, some people are lucky enough to be born into it, but I think something that's really key for young people is you haven't tried a lot of things. Who knows if you've even tried or experienced or seen or know it exists, your purpose. So just try. Like you're saying, just try.
And you know something that is key? Go and travel. Travel, go, because look, we live in a beautiful bubble, but the world, you go to Southeast Asia and it's another world. It's like teleporting to another reality. And the vibes of the place, it's different, and there's other languages. So traveling, meeting other people, I think we live in a time and space that we can connect with so many people in so many ways. Being able to tell these stories nowadays, to reach people through these stories. So that would be another advice. Go and travel, meet people. If you can travel overseas, just go to the mountains. I don't know, go to a nightclub, live your life. And at the end of the day, it's being open to talk to people, connect with people, no judgment, and just be happy. Like, it sounds so easy, and we made it so complicated. It is very easy, and we made it so complicated. People are like, you're complaining all the time that you don't have the shoes or the dress, or you have to pay for bills or whatever it is, or you're worrying all the time, and you forget the importance of just be aware of the moment and be just happy that you're just there. So connect with people.
Is there anything that we haven't talked about that you were like, coming into this, you're like, I really want to talk about this? Obviously, it's about your book and your journey. Is there anything that we haven't touched on that you're like, I really want to get this out there?
No, I think because I didn't want the conversation to be like promotion for the book, right? I think that will come organically. I think I was very eager to, I want to talk about this because I have all these things. It's interesting because I read this book earlier this year called Show Your Work by Austin Kleon. This little yellow square booklet. It was like this. I read it like in 4 hours or something. And it has these big black words, show your work. And so every time that I go to the second story, that's what I see. And every time that I pass through the hallway, that's what I see. So I'm like, I have to show my work. I know. And that's some of the things that this guy says in this book. I know I have to show my work. So I didn't want to be like a promotion for the book. So I think, that wasn't like the objective. No, the only thing that I want to add is that, apart from the journey of coming up with the book and how I started to write a book and how I decided whole journey of writing the book.
Yeah.
I think also something that it's important to mention is that so the story evolves as well. So when I started writing the whole universe, I came up with the foundations of the magic of the world and what magic was going to work. But as I started writing the actual book, I felt constrained by those rules that I have created previously. And because there were rules, I couldn't do anything about it. And so I have to write my way around or using those rules as a limiting factor. And once it goes back to when you find that freedom of just being you, I said, I created them, I can tweak them, I can change them. So, and that's something important because you have to let go, release, and make compromises, right? And that's something that I learned also in this process, let go stuff in all the levels, in every level. I think some writers call that kill your darlings, and I killed some. Yeah, exactly. So like what kicked off this story was, so I had created these little creatures, very silly creatures. I had 3D modeled, and I was going to create an NFT collection based on them. And then Valeria was like, can I have one? Like one exclusively created for me? And was like the princess of these little creatures. And I based started writing the story based on, okay, so why is there a princess? So are the guardians of the princess these little creatures? And that's how it all started. And then I had to kill the princess at some point. And I even killed those little guys.
Just killing everyone.
That's it. Just release. It's an iteration, a constant evolving story. In Star Wars happened as well, like until the last moment, they changed some scenes in a big movie, like a month before they were still reshooting some scenes. So yeah, that happens in a big movie, that happens in your story, or that happens in your life. Just, you can reinvent yourself any day. You can become whoever you want any day, tomorrow if you want.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking when you were saying, like, you created these characters, but then you like had these rules and you felt like you couldn't grow out of that.
Yeah.
That's what came to my mind. It's like, that is such a beautiful reflection of our lives. Like, we get stuck in these thought patterns and beliefs about ourselves, and then we show up as that because that's creating our reality, but we can change that.
Yeah.
Like, we're not stuck. We created this so we can...
Exactly. You can wipe them off, start over. Why not? Yeah. And if it doesn't work, tomorrow you come up with another idea. And so when you go on and you go on and you go on until you create a universe that still has a lot of things. I have ideas of how things are going to go from the first book, but I'm eager to just explore like a little kid in that universe, because now it has a strong foundations to just dive in and see what's up.
Exciting.
It is very exciting.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, it's coming up in February.
Oh, so it's got a release date.
So we're working on the third draft now. So that third draft is going to be, I have to deliver by let's say mid-November. Okay. We'll have some beta reading process. So I might do something on social media if someone wants to do some beta reading. And yeah, so by the first week of December, the idea is to have or to refine the final draft based on the feedback from beta reading, and then do some copy editing again, the final one, and then put it together. Most probably February. I think we're aiming for that date with the editor, with Emma, and yeah, that's the plan. The cover art is done. That's another story. That's a great story because that was artwork from my friend Herman. And we have been working on this story together since 2014. Wow. Not in the story is my own creation, but parts of this universe. We did like a video game concept back then. There were 3 robots, the planet, and that planet is where everything happens in this book. Cover art is done, web page, the first version is done as well. So yeah, it's coming up. Yeah.
Very groovy.
Very exciting.
So we've obviously covered a lot in this, which answers to this question, or alludes to this question. So how are we to live is the name of the podcast. Usually I just ask a couple words to a sentence, how are we to live? But I have some more, I feel like it's very broad, and that could be the last one. So this is, you're like the guinea pig for these questions here. Yeah. So my first one is, what's one thing we should stop doing to make existence or life better?
I think, no, it's not that we should stop. I think because, the thing would be
Don't worry. What's one thing we should start doing after is the next question. So
Okay.
I've got both.
All right. So stop. Okay. So one thing that we should stop doing, I think, it would be being selfish, right? We have to understand that we are all connected. Like us sitting here recording this story is going to cause an impact on someone. The message is going to be there for people to see. Someone's going to resonate with that, and everything is connected. So that's the thing that we have to stop, like being selfish, because we're all connected. Yeah.
Beautiful. And one thing we should start doing?
Be compassionate. So I think goes in hand with that. You discover that you're all connected, that whatever you do to that person, you're doing it to yourself. At some point, it's going to come back to you, because the universe works like that way. So you learn to be compassionate, and you're off the hook of karma. Yeah, you could put it that way, but yeah. Compassion.
Well, thank you so much.
No,
Beautiful way to end it. Everything's going to be linked, but is there anything you want to call to actions to where people can find you?
No, just you do your thing. By the way, thank you so much for having me here. I liked it a lot. I think we talk about a lot of great things going on.
Yeah.
So I think it was very good. Do you feel happy with it?
Yeah, no, I really do. Yeah. Do you? That's
Absolutely.
most important.
No, absolutely. No, I think it was great.
Yeah, no, thank you so much for coming back. I was so excited because you're the first person that I've already previously talked to.
Yes,
so that was really cool. Thank you for joining us today. If you had any insights or takeaways that really stuck with you, we'd love to hear about them in the comments. And if you enjoyed the episode, please consider sharing, subscribing, or leaving a rating and review. Your support helps us bring more powerful perspectives, stories, and important conversations to light. If you have any questions, ideas, or just want to chat, you can get in contact through email. And if you feel so inclined, you can also sign up for the podcast's free newsletter, so you can stay updated on the How Are We to Live universe. That will also be in the description with everything else. Until next time, stay curious, question everything. Peace out.